Hi, everybody. This is Adam Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology, and these are your horoscopes for March of 2019. So this is your sun and rising sign horoscope for Sagittarius. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. So the month begins with a pretty powerful square right out the gate from Venus at the very end of Capricorn. Here you can see she's already entered into Aquarius pretty close on by the beginning of March 2nd. But Venus will make a square to Uranus in Aries. Let me see if I can just back this up one day and maybe it'll give us the picture. There we go. So that square from the second house to the fifth house, you're talking about, first of all, with Venus, love, relationships, a friendship, agreement, harmony. Uranus, disruption, emancipation, liberation, greater freedom, originality, experimentation. So you're thinking of the potential for a little bit of a shakeup in relationships and love. This may also have something to do with topics like children, fifth house, or creativity, fifth house, but also money, finances, business, second house. So watch for that at the very beginning of the month. Now, on the 6th, this is really powerful. You have a new moon conjoined with Neptune and Mercury in your fourth house of home, family, roots, parents, property, land. This is the foundation of your chart. With a conjunction with Neptune, with Mercury going back and forth over Neptune, this is a time of deeper emotional exploration at the roots. Not everything's going to be clear. There's going to be, visitations from the ancestors. It has a kind of almost like a little bit of a haunted house feeling to it, but don't take that literally. It has the feeling of like the spirits and the otherworldliness associated with home, family, roots, and property. Synchronicities and dreams about family, issues around father or parents. You've got a theme of deep healing potentially in the family and home, but also some issues around communication, seeing things clearly, miscommunication, honesty, deception, illusion. Be careful of those themes around the home and family this month as well. There's a big lunar cycle with so many planets lining up, especially the conjunction of the new moon to Neptune in the fourth house. On the same day, you're going to see that the planet Uranus will move into Taurus in your sixth house. This begins a period of time in your life. I know you're not going to love hearing this, but the sixth house is a house that is constantly impeding upon us and interrupting the peace. And it does so in order for a lot of different reasons, because it's part of the, like, in times of peace, then there comes times of war. In times of health, then there comes times of sickness. In times of flow, then there comes times of interruption. The sixth house is the house of interruption, chronic interruption, whether it's health or war or fighting or dealing with something. It all depends, though, on your attitude. If you take up those interludes in life that seem to interrupt your plan and you take them as evidence of a higher plan, they don't necessarily have to be that bad. But Uranus in the sixth house can start to introduce a period of time in your life where there's a more erratic and revolutionary energy entering your life and pulling you in a different direction, but it's going to interrupt the status quo in a way that's sometimes a little bit more acute. The sixth house interruptions in our life are the kinds of things that happen, and they are unexpected, and they change the course, and they may aggravate us, and we may feel frustrated and get angry about it, or we may feel very deeply stifled. But ultimately, the way that every planetary transit, especially Uranus, has of helping us to grow and learn and become more of who we are is tremendous. So you have to trust this process. And remember that Uranus entering the sixth house to stay for the next 6-7 years in your chart does not mean that this will all happen at once. It's a process. So you'll see some moments over the next years that will be more acute than others, but that's the gist of what's happening with Uranus entering your sixth. Now, let's see, going on. So going through the 14th through the 19th, we see Mars in Taurus in the sixth house moving through trines to Saturn and Pluto in the second. This is another period of time that could be very productive. You might be working through something that requires you to spend a little money, or you might be dealing with some kind of challenge around finances and money, especially if you hire people. Hiring someone new or trying to hire someone to help you deal with something around this time. I'm going to spend a little bit of money to do it. But otherwise, it's a very productive transit. It's sort of industrious. And you can, but it's going to be a little bit of a labor intensive period, I think, something you're working through in order to make a change. And it may have something, again, to do with business, money, finances, things like that. Okay, so that's the 14th through the 19th trines from Mars to Saturn and Pluto. Then when you get to the 20th, you have I'm going to skip ahead to the 21st so you can see what it looks like, but it's the 20th. You'll see the sun enter the sign of Aries, the spring equinox, and you'll see the moon full across the 11th and 5th house. The potential for a moment of illumination, clarity, greater healing and understanding is pretty strong here with the Aries ingress hitting Chiron right off the bat. In the 5th house, it has a lot to do with things like pleasure, joy, recreation, children. You're learning something here about what true pleasure and happiness looks like, what it means to be a child, what innocence means, and what pure forms of joy and happiness look like versus potentially impure forms of joy or happiness. Meaning, if you have any problems with, drinking or frivolous spending or just anything that you do in the name of fun that's not really good for you, that could become an issue, or you could gain some insight around that. There's a good healing moment here, though, with Chiron. Also, the potential for something creative to enter your life, the feeling of needing to initiate something new that has some kind of creative feeling to it. Like, sorry, I'm losing my words here. Obviously, the sun, when it hits the Aries point, can initiate things. And the 5th house having to do with creativity and the arts and performance, there may be an opportunity to begin some kind of creative project here. I think it would take on the theme of Chiron, meaning it would be something that would have to do with the desire to heal or the desire to look at people or things that have been wounded or that are wounded and looking to bring some kind of advocacy, awareness. So it's kind of a courageous looking spring equinox this year. And it has the feeling of starting some kind of healing process. Now, the full moon in Libra in the 11th house suggests the importance of friends, groups, balance, justice, truth, harmony within greater groups or among allies, in your social networks. So I like the look of this full moon quite a bit in two really good houses. I think the potential for feeling like you have found a new way to move forward with things that you're excited about in life is there. And so I like that. You can see, for example, the moon in the 11th house in Libra with Venus in Aquarius in the 3rd house suggests, again, like camaraderie, friendship, good just good vibes with people, meeting the right people, being in groups with the right people, and that care about things that you're really passionate about right now. And then again, with Sun, Aries, Chiron initiating something, it takes courage. You're moving through something difficult, but you've got greater wisdom and mastery over it now. Your learning has gone to the next level, maybe. So, pretty interesting time around the spring equinox. Now, toward the end of the month, like the 24th through the 29th, you'll see Mercury conjoining with Neptune in Pisces in the 4th house. Venus will enter Neptune in Pisces in the 4th house. Just move this ahead so you can actually see what it looks like. So here it is. And you'll see that this lineup of planets is going back to what we started with. Mercury stationing and turning direct by the end of the month, going back and forth with Neptune. So this whole issue about boundaries and being clear and honest, deception, betrayal, in especially by not being clear to ourselves or with others. Also, the themes of healing in the family and at the roots, issues around home, land, family, property, very pronounced with a little bit of murkiness around the Mercury Neptune, but also otherworldliness. So it's hard to know, it's hard to think and see things clearly during Mercury Neptune conjunctions, especially when Mercury's in very bad condition right now in its fall and detriment. So basic advice here is to be patient and discerning around issues related to home and family toward the end of the month. Well, really all month long, but the end of the month it becomes a little bit more acute. So, but also watch for that kind of otherworldly inspiration and the visitation of sort of ancestral spirits or deeper understanding of family karma. It's actually pretty, it may be pretty beautiful. In fact, my own family just had this kind of crazy event with our grandfather. Someone feeling like, they had sort of heard from him in this really incredible way. So that stuff does happen with Neptune. Mercury was just conjoining for the first time yesterday. So at any rate, okay, that's what I've got. I'm heading to India, so I'll be back later in March. So that's why these are coming out a little bit early, but I can't wait to hang out with you guys again and hear what Sagittarians are up to come April. All right, take care. Bye.